Good day, everyone. It is the 1st of September, and this is All Fronts Weather with an overview of the U.S. and Alaska. In Alaska, a long frontal system is extending into the interior of the state, bringing widespread rain, especially into the southwestern areas of the Alaska Peninsula and Alaska Range. Stronger southerly gusts are going to be expected along the Bering Coast, extending to the Bering Strait and St. Lawrence Island. For the Gulf of Alaska, low-lying clouds are going to be expected. In the northern Gulf, especially near Cordova, pooling of low-level clouds is going to be expected. With the jet stream, we are going to be expecting strong low-pressure support out in the west, near Russia, and a very strong ridge out in the east, especially over the northwestern Gulf. This is expected to persist for the next few days. On thermal infrared, we can see a long train of moisture extending into the interior. However, the most prolific area is going to be along the Alaska Peninsula and to the west of Kodiak Island. With that strong high pressure in the Gulf, however, the areas of Kodiak Island should be relatively clear. Now, for frontal systems, we can see that low pressure in the northwest part of the chart, just off of Russia, impacting the Bering Strait and the Bering Coast. The occluded front is going to be draping along the western part of the state, bringing a lot of moisture from the northern Pacific into Alaska. Low-level turbulence for aviators is expected in the southwestern part of the state, near Bethel, Kodiak, Cook Inlet, and Anchorage. Moving into tomorrow, that occluded front is going to start impacting the central and eastern parts of the state, with low-lying clouds impacting everywhere to the south of the Alaska Peninsula and western Gulf. High pressure is still the prominent feature in the Gulf and also along the Aleutians. Lower wind speeds are going to impact those cloud levels as well, causing low-lying clouds and morning fog in the southern part of the state. Wednesday morning is going to be expecting a new low-pressure system that is moving up from the northern Pacific to impact the southern side of the state. Areas of low-level turbulence for our aviators are going to impact Kodiak Island, the Alaska Peninsula, and Bristol Bay. Low-level clouds are going to be impacting majority of the Gulf due to that high pressure once again. More populated areas such as Anchorage and Juneau, including Fairbanks as well out in the east, can be expecting some pretty nice weather going into Wednesday and Thursday. For the U.S. proper, we are going to be expecting a ridge and trough pattern with a fairly deep closed low centered for the northeastern states, and then a trough extending to the southwest. That trough is going to be centered over Iowa and also impacting Nebraska and Kansas. Just from looking at 300 millibar analysis, we can safely assume that there's going to be instability pretty close to Michigan and Wisconsin due to that trough extending all the way up throughout the northeast and then off coast into the northern Atlantic. Looking up to the northwestern states, we can also see another unknown closed low. That's going to be impacting Washington and Oregon on the upstream side of the ridge. At the surface, the WPC analysis is showing a slow southward sagging frontal zone from the southern plains to the Gulf Coast of Florida, with additional boundaries into the central plains and Midwest that sharpen as this shortwave is going to pass. Seasonally strong cold front is going to be dropping into the northern plains and upper Midwest going into Tuesday and Wednesday. That's going to usher markedly cooler air mass behind it. Come Wednesday, we can expect more rain to be impacting the Florida coast and also Gulf Coast to the south of Louisiana. Along with that, low-pressure systems are starting to strengthen along the northern states of North and South Dakota, Wisconsin, and Michigan. Widespread rain is going to be expected along our central states, going from Texas north towards Minnesota. We can expect quite a bit of rainfall to be impacting Nebraska and Kansas as well, with that long stationary front extending from Florida throughout the Gulf and then impacting the southern side of Texas. We can also expect marginal to moderate amounts of rainfall. Now we're going to skip a few days here into Thursday for our precipitation forecast. We can see in the south that Texas is no longer going to be impacted by that stationary front as it dips even more into Mexico. Southern side of Florida is still going to be impacted, expecting quite a bit of rain. Looking into our Great Lakes region, we can see that the frontal systems associated with the northern states are going to be bringing more rain into that region. Michigan, the Panhandle, Wisconsin, and Minnesota are still going to be impacted. This area of rain is going to slowly progress further to the east, impacting upstate New York and Pennsylvania next, going into Thursday evening. The Storm Prediction Center is highlighting generally marginal risk level convection today, with isolated severe storms possible, mainly in the near segments of the southern plains frontal zone. Looking ahead to Tuesday and Wednesday, you can see a marginal risk over the northern states of Minnesota and the Dakotas, with slight risk still maintaining near Arkansas, northern Louisiana, and those southern states, along with the western states of California, Nevada, New Mexico. Looking at max temperatures for the U.S. today, we can see that the southwest, from California to Arizona, are going to be in excess of 100 degrees, while the northeastern states and Great Lakes region are going to be under a cooler than normal temperature. Areas such as Nebraska and the Plains area should be expecting fairly cool temperatures as well. Looking ahead for the U.S., we can see that the northwestern states are going to be expecting a fairly above average temperature, including the southeastern parts of Alaska and the northern parts of Hawaii. This is going to be in stark contrast to the Great Lakes region, including some areas of the northeastern states, including New York and Pennsylvania, which are going to be expecting quite below average temperatures. We are still way too early in the season to be expecting any kind of snow. This has been your National Weather Outlook. Stay safe, stay prepared, and we'll see you next time.